was earlier this year, Daniel Andrews introduced frighteningly tough industrial manslaughter legislation with the aim of jailing the boards of top corporations should they be linked with deaths in the workplace. Ministers and public servants were excluded. Has Daniel Andrews and his government been responsible through a failure of quarantining and failures in aged care? Has the government been responsible for unsafe work practices that have contributed to death? Are they liable for prosecution? If not, why not? If the Act was designed to attack large enterprises linked to workplace deaths, how else do you describe the failure of the Andrews government leading to deaths in the workplace? Ken Phillips is the Executive Director of Self-Employed Australia. He has written a letter to the Victorian Work Cover Authority containing the following sentence. Now, this is lethal. Quote, I consider that the development, planning, management and implementation of the Victorian Government COVID-19 Hotel Quarantine Containment Program, the planning phase of which commenced in late January or early February 2020, such time, he says, only specifically ascertainable by investigation, instigated, managed or controlled by the Victorian Government, various Victorian Government organisations and agencies, including their contractors and staff, constitutes several offences contrary to the Occupational Health and Safety Act, in that the health, safety and welfare of employees and other persons were put at risk, contrary to, but not limited to, sections 21, 23, 26 and 32 of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Ken Phillips, the Executive Director of Self-Employed Australia, joins us tonight. Ken, thank you for your time. On the evidence we have, there was no proper training of the security guards at the quarantine hotels. There were other events that led to the deaths of many people because of the spread of the infection. Andrews played his left-wing anti-private sector card when he altered the Bracks legislation of 2004. Andrews' government, bowing to the unions, added industrial manslaughter clauses which allowed people not in control of risk to be convicted of industrial manslaughter and be liable to long jail sentences. Where does the Andrews government stand in the light of its own legislation?
Well, quite straightforward, Alan. They are liable. They are subject to prosecution. And the advice that I have from very senior occupational health and safety lawyers, given the evidence that we've seen from the current inquiry, is that prosecutions should occur. The Work Cover Authority in Victoria under the Act is required to proceed. We have the power under the Act to write to the authority requiring them to proceed. If they do not proceed, they must report to us why not. We can then request the Department of Prosecutions to prosecute, and we must be given reasons why if they do not. And so far, we have not received a reply to our letter. Just let
me explain, Ken, to our viewers. I understand that any individual who believes there's been a breach of occupational health and safety law under that Act can write to Work Cover asking it to investigate to determine whether there should be a prosecution. If no prosecution, Work Cover must in writing tell the individual why there's no prosecution. The applicant can then ask for the matter to be referred to the DPP, and the DPP then must prosecute or give an answer why there's no prosecution. So, come back to you, Ken. As you read the Act, could there be prosecutions against the boards and managements of managers of aged care facilities?
Well, no question of that at all. That's what the Act provides for.
And if Work Cover finds no case against the Victorian Government, they're going to have to give reasons. So,
correct.
Andrews' industrial manslaughter clauses don't exempt public servants and ministers. So where do we go from here, Ken, very quickly?
There's a time lag of about 3 months. If they don't act, we will certainly be going to court to require them to act. And we've set up a fund to be able to pay for the court action. So we're not going to sit back and wait.
Good on you. Well, we'll keep in touch with you, Ken. It's very good to talk to you tonight. It's a very interesting development in Victoria. That's Ken Phillips, the Executive Director of Self-Employed Australia. Daniel Andrews is in trouble on all fronts, but it's clear that all governments have imposed quarantine and lockdown arrangements in defiance of world authorities. And while we must live with the consequences, I'm telling you something, so too must governments at the ballot box.